Real quick, before we get into the show, I wanted to share a new service called Getita that Ken and I have been using that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, Ken and I revisit the 2023 goals that we set on episode 164. For each goal, we're going to go through it, talk about why we made it, and give you an update on our progress on whether we accomplished it or not. Ken, what's going on, man?
David, hey, I'm excited to share our year-end goals, kind of do a wrap-up and see which ones we accomplished, if we didn't accomplish some, and just kind of review these. I think it's important to set goals, revisit them, and then, assess how you did at the end of the year. And so I'm excited for this show.
Absolutely. I do think in the whole goal setting process, the area that people oftentimes fall short on is not on setting goals. It's on revisiting them and checking back in. And so I think that this episode is critical. You and I were brave enough to put our goals out to the public, and we're going to be brutally honest on whether we met those or not. And there are some that we didn't, and that's okay. They may be rolling into 2024. We may be Xing them off our list for a strategic reason, but let's get into it. So what was the first goal that you set?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first goal that I've got here, I've got them all logged down. So I'm just going to kind of go from the top. The first one was diversify 30% of total revenue off of Amazon US. I'm looking at my sheet here, and so I'm going to kind of break it down by brand and then overall. And so brand number one, this was accomplished. It is 33% diversified year to date. So we still have some more time, but Amazon US year to date is only making up 67% of the sales. And so this was achieved by brand number one. Brand number two missed it by 2%. And so really close, but year to date, 72%. So depending on how the rest of it, we have 2 more weeks. We're taping this on December 15th. Maybe it hits 30% diversity or not, but it's really close. And brand 3, 77% sales came from Amazon US. And so it was close, 23% off of Amazon. And so if you summarize, we're hovering right at around 28% across the portfolio. So pretty close. And I would say comparing that to the previous year, I believe it was in the single digits. And so going from single digits to almost accomplishing that goal is really good. And some of the key pieces here that I have written down on things that we focused on: email marketing. We focused a lot on email marketing on one of the brands. The other 2 brands, we did pull back on email marketing due to catalog issues, but one of them we went pretty heavy on. B2B sales. We ran a project for B2B sales, but we did not scale that project. And so B2B sales did not help us on this. And then our D2C websites, we're getting, I think our D2C website sales and traffic has doubled year over year. So definitely websites are helping. I would say our international marketplaces are exploding. Canada is exploding. UK is really strong. Walmart has doubled year over year. And so, we've seen a lot of stuff. So goal number one, almost 30. What's your first one, David?
Absolutely. So my number one goal was also grow off Amazon revenue, off Amazon.com revenue by 30%. And so I'm not going to go through the numbers as Ken and I are managing these brands together, but there are a couple of things that I do want to talk about as it relates to this goal. One is why we set it. I would say, first and foremost, as a layer of protection, should listings get taken down. We've had that happen before where we'll have a key listing in the U.S. get taken down for pesticides is one that's hit a lot of people this year, and we've definitely been impacted by that. And when that goes down and 100% of your revenue, or in the high 90s% of revenue is coming from that, it hurts. It really does hurt. that was one of the primary reasons, was to add a layer of protection. And it was also for growth. Now, when you're looking at growing a business, you can do one of two things. You can either launch more products or take your existing products into new marketplaces. And we opted to take our existing products into new marketplaces for several different reasons. But to name a couple, we already had the supplier relationship. We already had the listings. We had done most of the work. It was just now kind of shipping them to a new place. And so there was certainly a lot of legwork needed in getting companies registered in those companies and getting our VAT set up and our GST set up in Canada. But I do think that it was a faster way to grow than launching products, which may not pan out. And the second thing I want to talk about is just to add a little bit of flavor on our experiences in these international marketplaces. Canada was easy. That was generally very easy. You don't have to worry about VAT. All you have to have is a Canadian business number, which is fairly easy to get. Importing there takes about the same amount of time and effort as importing into the US. And if you have any inventory on US soil, it's a very easy move. And so if people were only selling in .com and were looking to expand to one international marketplace, obviously do your own research, but Canada was, I would say, fairly easy. On UK, one thing that we found for the UK is that we enjoyed higher profit margins on a couple of our products to the tune of about 10%. Now, that wasn't across the board, but on those particular products, we seem to, enjoy higher profit margins. And as we know, Amazon's a tight margin game. And so that was really, really nice. We also had, and this is an isolated example, so I don't know if this is going to be true across the board. It seems like in .com, if you're not running PPC, it is hard to get any type of velocity. And we did send some products into the UK that took off on day one. And we knew if we ran PPC that we would go out of stock. And so what we did to slow velocity was we turned PPC down to $1, and we had 99% organic sales, strong organic sales, which is something that is kind of unheard of in the US. Now, that could have been an isolated event, and I don't think that we've been operating in the UK long enough to know that, but I would say overall, big fan of Canada, big fan of UK. Expansion into Germany, we've had some challenges, and I think one of those is it's in a non-English speaking country. And so that we got listings rewritten, we translated all of our infographics, but in terms of work, it did require a little bit more work to get into those markets. Now, remind me, what if you rank all the Amazon marketplaces, where does Germany fall?
Last in terms of total revenue for a year to date?
For just overall Amazon, it's a big
second. So it is the second largest behind US the last time I looked.
Yeah. And so that's something that makes us really hopeful about this marketplace, is that they have a lot of people using Amazon. And so the customer base is strong. And so as we go into 2024, that's going to be one that we're going to continue to work on and develop. But as goal number one for both of us was diversification off of .com. And we may not have hit that exact, what did you say the overall was?
About 28% across the portfolio.
Okay. We both said 30%. So I think that 30% was a lofty target, and I'm really happy with landing at 28%. I can, a little teaser for 2024 goals. I would like to see that at less than 50% for .com. That's another episode, but
a teaser.
Yeah. So anything else we want to talk about for goal number one?
No, I think that's good. What's your second one, David?
Yeah. So help 3 people successfully fire the man. And a little bit of background on this goal. When I fired the man, when I actually experienced that, it was outstanding. To be able to have control of your time is something that it's really, it's a shame that a lot of people will go through their entire working career and not know what that feels like. Now, that's not to say that Ken and I have been sipping pina coladas on the beach while these businesses run on autopilot. We have worked very hard this year. However, it's been on our own time, and we've been able to have work fit our schedule as opposed to our schedule fitting work. And so I am a big fan of working after the kids go to bed, because from 5 to 9, I'm playing tag and going out outside with my kids, and I really like that. And so that's just a little bit of background on this goal. So now I can think of two people that have successfully fired the man. Brennan Mans is somebody who lives in my hometown and somebody I've been talking to for quite some time. He had told me about this goal. He was working at an automotive company. Surprised me one day. It was a Friday. He brought over a card and a bottle of whiskey. In fact, I'm going to step away right here because I have this hanging on my wall. It's a card from him that says, "Thanks for helping me fire the man today, David. All the best. Cheers." Could not be more excited for Brennan, and the future is very bright for him. And so I'm really excited about that. Second person who has fired the man is somebody named Renee, who launched a marriage planning book that's really doing well. And I've known her for quite some time, and she really has a knack for design and put together a really, really neat book. Although I'm already married, I have been a customer of hers, and it's outstanding. And so she just put in her notice and will be exiting her corporate job at the end of the year. And that's awesome. That's really awesome. And so those are two people that I know of that have directly reached out to me and said, I fired the man. And my hope is that there are some silent, people that may have tuned in or talked to Ken or I over the past couple of years and got some inspiration and have also fired the man, or at least taken some steps towards that. Yeah, that's an update on goal number 2.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's like a selfless goal. That's where you're helping others, and it makes you feel good. And so, congrats, David, on that one. That's really cool. So.
Thank you. Yeah, it really fires me up because I know what gift those people are about to receive. I know that their life is about to change for the better, and that's awesome. And so, I've got this card hanging up on my wall, and it's going to stay there for a long, long time. So Ken, what about you? What was goal number 2?
Cool. So goal number 2, fully implement EOS out of Traction. And so for those not familiar with EOS, it's Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's kind of a structure, a way to run your business. It sets the environment for the entire organization. Every employee everybody's moving in the same direction. And so we started this in 22. In 23, I feel like we implemented it 100%. And so we're doing scorecards monthly. We're doing L10 meetings for all of our divisions, and we have monthly, quarterly, and annual planning. We just did our annual planning last month. I'd say this one has been accomplished. I would say this one, I was kind of like on the fence of it's a lot of work. L10 meetings, scorecards, but I can say one thing, like it's really helped everybody to stay on the same page, and it's really helped for the leadership team to strategize, make up goals, create goals, and then filter them down to the entire team, and then they know what they're working on is helping the entire organization move forward. And so, yeah, number 2, implementing EOS complete.
And just to piggyback off what you're talking about, I think that this has been one of the best things that we've done as business owners. And I think if there's anybody listening that is on the fence about it, they owe it to themselves to at least read the book. Whether they implement it fully, that's up to them. But I can say that has had, it's a positive ROI activity. And I think our team members like that. They know what's expected, and we lay it out by quarter. And I think that's been outstanding. And like a fine wine, it gets better with time. This was year number 2, and our planning session was a lot better than year number 1 because we learned a lot from doing it. And so I think that will continue to develop like fine wine and get better with time.
No, I agree. Yeah. Year over year, definite improvement. Cool. David, how about goal number 2? Or wait, sorry. This is your goal number 3.
So launch 15 products across all portfolio companies. And I'm going to go through each portfolio company and talk about these. I'm also going to give a couple updates on whether they were successful or not. Company A, we had 4 product launches. 2 of them are products that we are going to keep in 2024, and 2 of them are ones that we are going to retire or kill. And the reason was that they just did not take off. And I think I want to mention this because if there are people out there that are launched a product and it didn't go well, that should not make you feel bad. Ken and I have been doing this for 7 years, and we batted 50% this year for this particular brand, and we're okay with that. So 4 on portfolio company A. Portfolio company B we did 8 in total. Now, one of these was a lot more involved than just finding a supplier and ordering products. It required us to develop a software and form a relationship with a US-based supplier. And so I think it really should count as 3, although it's one product. And I guess there's four
variations. So
yeah, no, that is true. So 4 variations. So on this one, if you're counting variations, we launched 11. And I would say two out of those 11 will probably retire. But we did pretty good here. And the one thing I want to point out is for this particular brand, one thing that we did was we have an email list and we asked our customers what they liked before we launched them. We came up with a list of 50 ideas and we picked the best 7. And that was I think when we're looking at portfolio company A versus B, one of the main differences is that we asked our customers what they wanted and then we delivered that. Whereas on portfolio company A, we were kind of guessing, and I'm not disappointed with how we did in portfolio company A, but this is just, I think there's a lesson here for our listeners. I wanted to point that out. Portfolio company C, we launched one product. We brought one product to market and we made significant steps in launching a second one. And that one, I would say, has had mediocre results. Definitely something that we're going to continue to sell into 2024. So when I add all those up, we've got 4 plus 11 plus 1, we're at 16, which does surpass the goal of 15 products across portfolio companies. And I really proud of those. And there was a lot of work that went into them.
absolutely. That's not a bad percentage. Out of 16, 3 or 4, were unsuccessful and the rest were. And so 2024 is looking good too. I think a teaser is that number will probably go up for you, David, on for that goal. So goal number 3 on my side is increase revenues by 20%. And how did we do that? Launch new products. Yes, David just went over that. We launched 16 new products. Optimize PPC. We made a really good move. I ran PPC for about 5 months of the year, and it was not that good. We hired a new PPC manager, and he is crushing it. He's amazing. And then the third one is some scale B2B and D2C sales. And so direct to consumer on our websites, we doubled sales on our websites. It's still a very small percentage. It's growing. It's doubled year over year. B2B, we tested it this year. We backed off on it, and then maybe we test it next year. It's kind of floating out there. We need to find the who for this one. But increase revenues by 20%. That is the top level goal. So let's go over it. So on company A, and this is total global revenue. Company A did not achieve that. Company A actually decreased by 8%. This one is as I dive into it by the market. Amazon US went down by 35%. Then the rest of the marketplaces, we went up 700%, 900, 5,000, 100. And on Walmart, we doubled. Our website sales went up by 50%. Germany, UK, and Canada went up by a lot, hundreds or thousands of percent. And so Amazon US, we went down by 35%. And so this one, the reason for this was mostly due to Amazon came out, and I think it was February or March, and said, hey, we're going to have this new fee if you have more than X amount of storage. And so we went into lightning mode and we sold a bunch of our inventory. And then this brand peaks in the summertime. And then our second batch of inventory was late. And we also had some listings taken down due to pesticide claims like David mentioned earlier. And so we've had a couple of struggles with this one, but 2024 is looking way better. So company A, negative 8% in revenue. Company B, 32%. And so company B had a spectacular year. This is one where we launched several new products that did really well. And so Amazon US was up 11%. Canada was 5x. UK doubled. Germany was up 50x. Walmart was about flat. It was up 1%. And then our website sales went down by 57%. I think that was due to B2B. 2022, we had a lot of large orders from B2B, which we did not have this year. So, but overall, 32%. And we're still going. Like, we still had 2 weeks of the year. This might be 35% because we're in peak season for this brand. And so excellent job on this brand. Brand C was up 10% total. So excellent results. U.S. marketplace was down 6%. Canada tripled. UK went up 2,000%. Germany went up 500%. Walmart went down 35% on this brand. That's interesting. And then our website sales went up almost 3x. And so finishing off with 10% solid growth for that brand. Altogether, 11% across the portfolio. We had one brand really struggled, one brand did really well, and one brand did good at 10%. And so a total of 11%. So didn't quite hit the 20% revenues across our portfolio, but close. One did, one did not. Two didn't, and one did. And so we've got room to work on. We've identified some gaps and some areas we can improve on and just get better overall. And so not sure what the goal will be next year, but it might be a similar goal, and it might be even more. Overall strong. I feel strong about that one. Any thoughts about that, David?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a 20% growth rate was lofty at the beginning of the year. I would be interested in taking a look at profitability because I do think that we're likely up. However, we didn't analyze that for this episode, so I'm not going to go down that path. But yeah, I think if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think we were pointed at getting growth for next year. And I think that we executed pretty well on it. And so we had some surprises pop up this year. You had mentioned that stock out. We had an AGL shipment that should have been 45 days go to about 110 days, which is, for those of you using AGL, it's usually old reliable unless you ship out of Taijian. That particular port has been very slow for us and not one that we're going to be using.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, I'm happy with how things went. And as we look to next year, I do think that we can increase revenues by 20% with what we have planned. And it'll be a challenge, but like I said, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Absolutely. And you made a good point. I think one that's missing off of my list, I'm not sure if I didn't see it on yours, was profitability. And so I'll be adding that to, one of us should add that to our goals list for next year. I mean, revenue is great, but at the end of the day, profit is what we work hard for. And so to all the listeners, focus on profit. Revenue is revenue. Profit is where the rubber meets the road. So next year we will have that goal on there.
All right. Goal number 4 for me was to go on 2 out-of-state hunts, which I accomplished. So I'll give you a little update on those. My first trip was in June. I went up to Manitoba on an archery bear hunt, which I ended up harvesting a bear. It was spot and stalk. It was awesome. And I had a lot of fun and I met a lot of really neat people. And so that was an outstanding hunt and one it was fun to do it with the bow and arrow. So, and I've been eating bear and it's good. I like it. I do like bear and I've been telling my boys, if you eat like a bear, you'll be strong like a bear. And so they eat it with me too.
That's awesome. Was it the blueberry bear?
It was. This particular area had a ton of blueberries. This bear, when we dressed it out, had purple fat, and it, like, when you cook it in a crock pot, it makes the house, it's like a sweet meat. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
But I really am a fan of it. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Like I said, sneaking in on a 300-pound bear at eye level I'll tell you, it got my heart racing like nothing else.
I was nervous when you went on the hunt. You were like, yeah, I'm going bear hunting, great, into Canada. And then, like, right before you left, you said it's with a bow or something. And I was like, wait a second, how are you going to bear hunt with a bow? And then I'm like, oh man, David's going to go up to Canada and get eaten by a bear. And I was like, holy shit. So how close were you when you took the shot?
I was 40 yards, and I'll share a little good hunting story. The night before in camp, we were sitting around a fire, and somebody said, so we were hunting for boars, which is the males, and they said if they're ever facing away from you and you want them to come closer, you do something called a challenge growl, which is where you go like this, bruh, 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 and they will think it's another boar and come to fight you. Well, I had snuck in on it and he was facing away from me and I could not, his vitals were not exposed. And so I drew my bow back and I did this challenge growl. And as soon as he turned, I let my arrow go and made a good shot and the hunt was over. But I should have had a heart rate monitor on because
that's ballsy.
I could hear my heart beating, but it was on day 5 of the 5-day hunt, 1 hour left and I wanted to make it happen. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was out of state. hunt number 1. Out-of-state hunt number 2 was an antelope hunt in Wyoming. And this was a new one for me. Me, my wife, and my 2 sons loaded up in an RV and went out west for 2 weeks. And it had a really good hunt. I had my son Henry with me there, and he was really enjoying the outdoors. And we saw a lot of antelope, ate marshmallows around the fire, and had antelope steaks around the fire after a successful hunt. And so it was a lot of fun. And it was, I don't think I probably would have ever traveled to this part of Wyoming, but for an antelope hunt, because it was very rural and there was not a lot going on. And so, yeah, a lot of fun. And it was fun to have my family there with me.
No, that one sounds pretty meaningful to do that. That sounds like a great experience. So
absolutely. So Ken, what's number 4?
Awesome. So number 4, achieve brown belt in Jiu Jitsu. Train 3 times a week. Do not get injured and have fun. So I definitely have had fun. I haven't sustained any big injuries that's kept me away from training. And I've trained 2 to 3 times a week consistently all year. So it's been a great year of getting back into Jiu Jitsu. So I took 3 years off, started back last November, and it was a struggle for a long time. Happy to say that probably 3 weeks I'll be getting promoted to brown belt. And so that'll be my next journey in the process of filling out that brown belt. And so this one is not yet, but in 3 weeks it'll be achieved. This is probably one of my favorite ones, I think.
So for our listeners, Ken, how has Jiu Jitsu helped you with your e-commerce businesses?
Yeah, so I think for me, Jiu Jitsu so I'm not a really big competitor. I don't travel out and compete in tournaments. I usually do maybe 1 a year, maybe 2 a year. For me, Jiu Jitsu is kind of like troubleshooting. And so if you have someone that's basically trying to choke you out unconscious or rip your limbs off, like you have to figure out ways to stop them from doing that. And then you have to figure out ways to do that to them. And so it's just a series of like troubleshooting. It's troubleshooting problems, big problems. And it's also a great stress relief. You know, as entrepreneurs, we're kind of holed up in our house or traveling or whatever. And so for me, it's a really good outlet for exercise and stress relief. Yeah, I would say that is it also, there's really good people. You meet a lot of really good people on the mats. Like normally someone that's training jiu-jitsu, I'll generalize, probably 80 or 90% of people that I meet that train jiu-jitsu that have trained it for a while, really good people. And people that like reminding me of kind of entrepreneurs. There are some entrepreneurs that train jiu-jitsu with me, but not all of them. But it's just something where you can't give up. You just have to keep showing up, literally getting your ass kicked every day until you get better. It's the same way as being an entrepreneur. You're getting kicked every day, whether it's Amazon, whether it's your P&L, whether it's your employees, you're getting kicked right in the balls every day. And it's like, keep showing up, keep getting better a little bit each day. And it adds up over a long period of time. And so it translates to well, I think.
All right. Goal number 5 for me was to live 4 weeks as a digital nomad, working somewhere else other than my office. And this is something that I did accomplish. I was trying to tally them up, and it was probably either 3 or 4 weeks. This is something that was important to me because me and my family do like to travel. And when I was working for the man, this was a dream of mine, to be able to work from anywhere. Trip down to Florida and have spent a good bit of time in Kentucky. And that has been a good setup. One, this is a little bit of a miscellaneous point, but one thing that I think prevents me from wanting to do more of this is I've got a sweet setup in my office. I'm running 2 34-inch monitors. Everything's here. I've got a stand-up desk. It's hard for me to leave this. This is where I'm at maximum efficiency. However, for Father's Day, my wife's got me. And for those of you who are tuning in on video, you can see this. And for those of you who are on audio, I will share this with you. This is 2 13-inch monitors that connect to my laptop. So I really like having multiple screens when I'm working. I do think it increases efficiency. This is one thing that has made working as a digital nomad easier, is being able to go out of town or roll up to the coffee shop, still have 3 monitors. Now, they're not 34s, but they're 13, and that's good enough for me. And so one thing I as I look to 2024, one thing that I'm going to try to work on is not necessarily going out of town, but just working from different places. I find myself, I was sitting on my back porch the other day. It was really nice weather. And I was like, why don't I bring my laptop out here? So I think, whether it's rolling into the local coffee shop or working outside, that's going to be something that I do in the next year, because I do like my office, but I do like getting outside of my office as well.
No, I think that tidbit of your monitors and like, that's something that you've learned over time where you have taken extended periods of time and all that, or go to the coffee shop or go to, remote places to work. And I'm the same way. Like I have my laptop, but at home, it's like, man, I've got this sweet setup, but when you go away, it's like, so that is a pretty cool thing to share. I don't have that. Maybe I'll add that in, but I definitely prefer multiple monitors. So I'm just more productive when I have something like that I can use. So
last point on that, $250 on Amazon. Not as expensive as someone would think. For anyone wanting to be a digital nomad that likes big screens, look into it.
All right. Number 5 on mine. Take another 30-day non-work vacation. A recap of last year. So last year I took a 30-day trip to Europe with my family, and it was amazing. Had a lot of fun. We visited, I think it was 7 countries. It was crazy fun. And this year I did not do that. So we unfortunately had a death in the family and could not travel for 30 days this year. But I did have, I went for 2 weeks to Puerto Rico with my kids. It was a really good time. I might have taken one meeting, or I don't remember. I don't think I did work that. I think you covered, David. I don't think I worked when I was in Puerto Rico. So 2 weeks of non-work vacation. This one will definitely be on my calendar for next year, because I think it's really crucial to take that time off, flex the wings a bit, travel, see how the team does when you're gone. It exposes gaps, it exposes things. And so I think it's good. And so this one was not achieved, but it'll be a repeat on my goals for next year for sure, because I think it is definitely crucial.
All right. My 6th and final goal was to attend at least 100 Jiu Jitsu training sessions. So a little bit of background at the beginning of 2023. After listening to Ken talk about Jiu Jitsu for a while, I decided to give it a try. And I really liked it and was in a routine of going 2 to 3 times a week and had a lot of fun. In February, so not long into this, I injured my back. I did not go back. And so this is a goal that I did not achieve. And I'm not sure if it'll roll into next year or not. I did really enjoy it. I set this goal and I didn't accomplish it. And that's that. And I'm not blaming it on the industry or on the injury. My back is just fine right now. And I drive by it on my way to the grocery store and I think, gosh, should I get back into it or not? And so it's there. I mean, maybe something that I did get back into. But yeah, I would say I probably did 20 out of the 100 classes that I intended on doing.
Yeah, no, injuries happen and they sideline you for a while. And you definitely have to be 100% to train jiu-jitsu or it just doesn't work. I remember when I started back, my back was in bad shape and it was not good. Cool.
What about you, Ken?
So last one says here, lose 30 pounds. And then I've got some bullets, train jiu-jitsu, meal prep and planning, and better sleep. So I'll go through the bullets. So better sleep. Yes. I've been getting way better sleep. So I was diagnosed with sleep apnea this past year, which I never knew I had. People always complain, oh, you snore so loud, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't really think anything of it. And then I found out my father has sleep apnea and he uses a CPAP machine. And I was like, holy cow. So I did a sleep study and they're like, my levels were like 500% higher than what the normal level was. And they're like, you have really bad sleep apnea. So got a CPAP machine. I've been using it for probably 4 or 5 months now. And it is like night and day. Like I feel normally if I don't use a CPAP machine at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm starting to get sluggish and tired. When I use a CPAP machine, it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm like, what's next? So like it really, really impacts me. Meal prep and planning. I'm going to give myself a grade of a C on this one. The meal prep, I do probably once a month. Meal planning is probably once a month as well. So there's some definitely improvement there. And that will roll over to next year. And then train jiu-jitsu. That one there, definite 2 to 3 times a week all year, no major injuries. And so that one was accomplished. So lose 30 pounds. And so this one, I guess I'm going to say that it's accomplished, but I'll explain more to it. So on a scale, I'm down 15 pounds from beginning of the year. I've also been not only training jiu-jitsu, one of the things that I started doing early in the year is lifting weights. So I go to a gym 2, sometimes 3 days a week and just lift weights for an hour. And so that's really given me a ton of strength for jiu-jitsu. And also I've gained 22 pounds of lean muscle mass this year, according to my Renfo scale. And it's like an electronic resonance scale. And so I'm down 15 pounds on the scale, but also I've gained 22 pounds of muscle. And so that's like, I guess it would be 37 pounds difference. And so I'm going to say it's accomplished in different ways, but overall, feel amazing. Definitely more goals next year, but a huge improvement this year. So that one makes me excited. I have more energy, stronger, and yeah, just feel better overall. And health, I think, is, man, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And so I think health is really crucial.
As we go through here, there may be someone listening saying, wait, I tuned into a podcast about business and these guys are talking about vacation and jujitsu and meal prep. What's that have to do with business? I would say everything. Jiu-jitsu, problem solving, it's basically training your brain for problem solving in your business. I'd also say it makes big problems seem smaller, in terms of taking care of your health and your body. That makes everything better, including how many RPM your brain can run at. And I would say the last one, vacation, that's when I personally have the best ideas, when I'm unplugged and detached. Ken, I think you probably agree with me as well on that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because your brain is not on the day-to-day fires and on the day-to-day grind, and it's kind of like free to float around and come up with ideas. But yeah, I do come up with some really good ideas. I think they're great ideas, but no, I agree.
Definitely. So that's a recap of our goals for 2023. Be looking for another episode where we set out our 2024 goals and announce them to the world. We would encourage anybody listening to write down your goals and go through a similar process of this, is set them and revisit them mid-year and then at the end of the year. I think it makes a big difference. And if you can tell somebody about it, that's great. I think that level of accountability is huge. And if you don't have an accountability partner, email us, Ken at Firing the Man and David at Firing the Man, and we'll help hold you accountable to those.
Absolutely. Those are really, really important. What you said, David, share them with someone. You could start your own podcast and share the world, or you can share with your friends or family or whatever, but share them with someone. I like to print them out and keep them close and then kind of just check in on them. Some people put them on the wall, some people, do whatever, but go back to them periodically throughout the year. See where you are, because you'll fall behind or you'll get ahead, but you'll just remember, hey, I've got these things to accomplish. And so let me continuously remind myself to check in. Do status. Awesome. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend for giving me this Christmas tree for my office. So anybody on our YouTube channel, it is a Grinch Christmas tree. I said, hey, how come I don't have a Christmas tree in my office? And she's like, I'll get you one. And she got me this one. I'm like, that's awesome. So yeah, go to the YouTube channel and check it out. It's a Grinch Christmas tree. Yeah, I believe this podcast is airing right around Christmas, New Year's. And so we hope you have a great Christmas, holiday, whatever you celebrate, and a happy New Year.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Firing the Man podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?